I mean, in visual effects, we create creatures that are not real, and it's arguably easier to copy a character, say a mouse or something, because you've got reference. You can look at a mouse and see how it's moving. But for dragons, for serpents, they don't exist, and so you have to take bits of dogs and bits of snakes and put them together and make something that looks realistic.
It could essentially turn into something that looks very cartoony or abstract, and it's like, how do you take that brief and add that element of realism whilst keeping that kind of fantasy element alive and have it work in a live action film. But yes, we need to do a dragon, but what does it actually look like? Well, there's lots of interpretations of that, and it's kind of nice when you actually produce something and you're kind of like, oh, actually that's actually really working, and it's kind of that satisfaction of, yeah, we've hit something here and we don't quite know what it is, but it looks cool.
Evil Mist is the bad guy of the story, and he's got no body, he's got no face. It's quite abstract. You have to make the environment becoming a character. So we didn't want it that he would look like a rock or he would like something without life. He has to be clever somehow, but he's got no head to show that he's got a brain. We thought about being inside this evil guy, inside his brain, inside a clever forces. We wanted to play with the idea of synapses that would run around us. I think the serpent was super fun to do. The brief was, it has to be really, really scary, like a creature. What was the movie? Beetlejuice. When he turns to you and he says, "Wah!" So I went to see the artist and I said, that's our brief. Wah! We pushed a little bit the boundaries, being sure that they would never choose this one. Hey, and they did. So we were really pleased. The reed guy was super scared when we came up with so many legs.
Well, when I saw the concept art of the serpent, I thought, that's crazy. I mean, how many little legs can you have and stuff? But it looked cool. So and it was pretty exciting because you don't. It's a unique character, and you don't really get too many unique creatures, something that you've never seen before.
This Dawn Treader, it was essentially a big set, a big film set, and it took a long time for them to build the film set with a big team. The process that we go through is a relatively similar one in terms of, yes, the planks have to be a certain size and they have to have a certain bend to them to fit the hull and stuff like that, but the tools you're using are just different, as you're working in the virtual world, and you've got an undo button, which always helps.
We did all of the Dawn Treader sailboats, which was fantastic for the department. The biggest challenge was the amount of cloth pieces, because most cloth setups that you do have 3 or 4 pieces maximum, and this had about 618 pieces, so it was the sheer volume and the resolution that we were working to, the complicated rigging of it all. You had ropes going through pulleys, and you had other ropes that had to move through the mast, and everything had to affect everything else.
Yeah, so at the start of the sequence, the dragon dislikes Reepicheep, and we had to convey that he slowly, gradually, throughout the sequence, warms up to Reepicheep, who's just trying to help him out. For the dragon to convey his emotions, all we had was his face and his eyes and his eyebrows. We start rough, and we present a rough version to the director, and what's important to us to establish in this rough version is that the storytelling points are there, that the continuity is there from one shot to another, because it's more often than not, it's not the same animator animating the whole sequence. So we made sure in dailies when the animator would block it out and we'd compare shot to shot to shot, that the range felt natural and felt gradual.
I guess the trick with doing facial animation, particularly on the mouse who's speaking, he's got small features, he's got a lot of fur. We have had quite a lot of controls around his eyes, his brows, his little twitchy nose, down to the whiskers, the shapes of the mouth, and to offset things. get a little asymmetry. You've got to love those. It's those little things that really make someone believable and come alive. It's, I mean, moving, yes, but it's those subtleties in the acting, those little quirks and the time it takes to get those things. I think, yeah, you probably have to be a little bit crazy to want to spend to do that, but it's rewarding. It's the best part.
When we start a show, we look at the characters that we have and the range of emotions that they will be going through. So, for example, for Reepicheep, he was a great character because he did a lot of different ranges of emotion. So we had to build setups that were quite robust. With fur, we have MPC's own custom fur solver, which is called Fertility. One of the main things that we have to do is how much it bends and how the wind affects it and how stiff it is. And one problem that you can get with CG fur is that it can look really CG, obviously. It can look too stiff, and it doesn't get that lovely flowing feeling that you get with natural fur. So that's something that we've been trying to address, especially with Reepicheep, so that he looks nice when the wind's blowing on him. Things in nature aren't symmetrical, and that's what we're trying to achieve with dynamics, essentially. We're trying to get those little inconsistencies and those little gusts of wind in the fur, that, those little billowing in the sail that you would get if it was real.